Welcome to the lecture for Basics of Biblical Hebrew, Chapter 11, the last chapter in the noun section of the grammar. After we complete this chapter, we'll have completed our discussion of the Hebrew system of nouns and we'll be moving on to verbs. So if you've made it this far, congratulations. You've accomplished a great deal and you've learned almost everything you need to know for the Hebrew noun system. In this particular chapter, we're going to talk about Hebrew numbers. Hebrew numbers. Look on your screen with me. Biblical Hebrew does not have a separate set of numerical symbols like we do in English, 1, 2, 3, etc. Rather, Hebrew numbers are always written out like O-N-E, T-W-O, T-H-R-E-E. We need to learn in this chapter what those numbers are in Hebrew. There are two types of numbers in the Hebrew number system. Look again with me at your screen. There are cardinal numbers and there are ordinal numbers. Cardinal numbers are more common and they're used for counting 1, 2, 3, etc. Ordinal numbers are used to indicate position in a series, first, second, third, etc. In this chapter, we're going to cover both the cardinal and the ordinal numbers. We're going to begin by looking at numbers 1 through 10 in Hebrew. Now you may know how to count to 10 in German or French or Spanish. Now you're going to learn how to count to 10 in Hebrew. Look at your screen with me. On your screen, you're going to see 4 columns of Hebrew numbers. There's the masculine set of numbers in the first 2 columns, and the feminine set of numbers in the second 2 columns, numbers 1 through 10. We're going to begin by looking at the masculine absolute column, the first column on the left. This is the column that you want to memorize. These are the lexical forms of the numbers. Let's say these numbers together. You follow along as I read. Echad, Shnayim, Shalosh, Arba, Chamesh, Shesh, Sheva, Shemoneh, Tesha, Eser. Those are numbers 1 through 10 in Hebrew in the masculine absolute. Let's say them again together quickly. Echad, Shnayim, Shalosh, Arba, Chamesh, Shesh, Sheva, Shemoneh, Tesha, and Eser. Now that's the only line that you need to memorize in terms of vocabulary, the singular, masculine, absolute. In the other categories and in the other columns, you'll see that the other forms of the word, you'll see that the other forms of the numbers are related to the masculine, singular, absolute. Let's look again at the screen. And we'll look at the masculine construct category of Hebrew numbers 1 through 10. All of the forms in this particular column follow the normal rules of the construct state. The only exception is number 1, where you get a slightly different spelling from the Segol comets in the absolute category to the pathic in the construct category. But that type of change is not too much or too difficult to identify. In the feminine category, you have both absolute and construct nouns as well, and they take feminine singular and feminine singular construct endings. Simply take special note of numbers 1 and 2 in those categories. Their spellings are a little bit different. Once you've memorized the masculine absolute forms of numbers 1 through 10, all of the other forms should be easy to recognize. Let's look at the cardinal numbers 11 through 19 now. Let's look at your screen. You'll notice that the cardinal numbers 11 through 19 occur both as masculine and feminine, and that there are a combination of 2 words for each number. That is, for example, the number 13 is a combination of 3 and 10. The number 14 is a combination of 4 and 10. And so again, once you know numbers 1 through 10 in the masculine absolute category, most of these numbers will be easy for you to recognize if you can do basic first grade math. Let's look, for example, in the masculine nouns, number 11. Number 11 in the masculine category is Echad, Asar, 1 and 10. If you can add 1 and 10 as 11, you've properly identified the Hebrew number 11. Now there's an alternate spelling, and you simply need to memorize that as such, an alternate spelling. Similarly, The number 12 is a combination of the number 2, Shanei, followed by 10. If you can add 2 and 10, you have correctly identified the number 12 in Hebrew. Similarly, 13 is 3 and 10, and 14 is 4 and 10, and 15 is 5 and 10. As long as you can add numbers up to 20, you will successfully identify numbers 1 through 19. Let's look at the 3 examples on your screen where Hebrew numbers are used in the context of the Hebrew Bible. The first example comes from 1 Kings 7:1, Shalosh Esrei Shana, literally 3 of 10 of year. 3 of 10 of year. Now in Hebrew, that's how you'll say 13 years. Notice that the noun Shana is singular, but the number is plural 13. In Hebrew, the plural translation of the noun Shana or year comes not from the number of the noun itself, but from the number of the number 13. It's not 13 year, it's 13 years. Similarly, look at the example in Exodus 12:6, where we have the translation 14 days. Arba'ah Asar Yom, literally 4-10 day, or 14 days. The noun Yom is singular, but we translate it plural because of the number 14. And now the third example, Chamesha Asar Shakel, literally 5-10 shekel, but really 15 shekels. The noun shekel in Hebrew is singular, but we're translating it as a plural because of the numbers. Let's move on to our next set of cardinal numbers. Cardinal numbers 20 through 99. Let's look at the screen. Most of the forms of the cardinal numbers 20 through 99 should be easy for you to identify. Look at the column of numbers on the left side of the page where we count by tens. Esrim, Shaloshim, Arba'im, Chamashim, Shishim, Shiv'im, Shemonim, Tish'im. The number 20 at the top of the list is the masculine plural form of 10. So how do you indicate the number 20 in Hebrew? You take the masculine singular form for 10 and you put it in the masculine plural, Esrim. All of the other numbers, 30 through 90, are the masculine plural form of their corresponding singular number. Shalosh 3, Shaloshim 30. Arba 4, Arba'im 40. Chamesh 5, Chamashim 50, etc. So the numbers 20 through 90 by 10 are the masculine plural forms of singular forms you already know. Let's look at a couple of the examples on this page. We'll begin with 2 Kings 24:18, Esrim wa'achath, literally 20 and 1, which again, if you can add 20 and 1, is 21. The example from Genesis 4:24, Shiv'im wa shiv'ah, literally 70 and 7, or 77. You see how it works? The third example, Tish'im wa tesha, literally 90 and 9, or 99. And the last example, Shanayim u shaloshim, literally 2 and 30, or 32. Notice in the last example, the tens place number is second, and the ones place number is first. And so word order is a little bit looser on how you count these numbers. You just need to do the math. Those are the cardinal numbers 20 through 99. Let's look at the cardinal numbers for 100 and above. 100 and above. Here we have the numbers for the hundreds and the thousands and the tens of thousands. At the top of the list on your screen, you'll see the Hebrew word for 100, or me'ah. The Hebrew word for 100 is me'ah, and this is a word you'll memorize as vocabulary. The Hebrew word for 200 is mathayim, and it's actually the feminine dual form of me'ah. So what's the feminine dual form of 100? Mathayim. And what's 2 100s? 200. Therefore, the word for 200 in Hebrew is the dual of 100. The rest of the words in the 100 category appear like you see in example 3 for 300, shalosh me'oth. Shalosh is the number 3 in the masculine singular construct, and it's followed by the feminine plural for 100, literally 300s, translated 300. The other categories in this column work the same way. 1,000 is Elif. 2,000 is the dual of Elif, Alpayim. And 3,000 is Shalosheth Alapim, literally 3,000s or 3,000. In the 10,000 category, you begin with the base noun Ravava, meaning 10,000. You take that noun and you inflect it in the dual, Ribothayim, and you get 20,000, or twice 10,000. Now, with these cardinal numbers, you don't necessarily have to memorize all of the 9 forms that you see on this page. For vocabulary, you should remember 100, Mea, 1,000, Elif, and 10,000, Ravava. All of the other forms are derived from inflecting the singular forms. Now that we've covered the cardinal numbers, we can move quickly to the ordinal numbers. Cardinal numbers are used for counting, 1, 2, 3. Ordinal numbers are not used for counting in the same way. They're used for indicating position in a series, first, second, third, fourth, etc. Let's look at our screens together and see the ordinal numbers in Hebrew. We're going to look at the ordinal numbers first through 10th. Let's say them together. Rishon, Shnei, Shalishi, Ravi'i, Chamashi, Shishi, Shevi'i, Shemoni, Tushi'i, and Asiri. You'll notice a couple of things here. Most of the ordinal numbers look like and share roots with the cardinal numbers. The one ordinal number that does not share a root with its cardinal number is the ordinal number first. The ordinal number for first is Rishon, Rishon. It's derived from the same root Rosh, which means head or top or preeminent, that is, first. Very good. So most of the ordinal numbers will be easy for you to identify. You'll see that the Hirik Yod appears both in the middle and at the end of many ordinal numbers, and that will help you identify it. Now, in terms of how the ordinal numbers are distinguished in the masculine or feminine, you'll see that the ordinal numbers in the feminine end either in Kametz He, as in first, or in Hirik Yod Tau with all the others. Now, you already know that Kametz He and Tau are feminine indicators, and that plays out in all of the ordinal numbers in the feminine. So there you have both the cardinal numbers and the ordinal numbers in Hebrew. Now, you've seen a lot of numbers in this chapter, and the question is, what number should I memorize so that I can accurately identify and count in Hebrew? Here is what you must memorize at a minimum to have success in the language. Number 1, memorize all the cardinal numbers in the masculine absolute, 1 through 10. Number 2, you need to memorize 20 because it's a little bit distinct. It's the masculine plural form of 10. Then you need to memorize the cardinal numbers for 100 Mea, 1,000 Elif, and 10,000 Ravava. Finally, you'll need to memorize only one ordinal number, Rishon, for first. All of the other ordinal numbers are easily identifiable once you've memorized the cardinal numbers and know that you'll see all of those different Hirik Yods in the ordinal category. We're now finished with our discussion of Hebrew numbers, both ordinal numbers and cardinal numbers. We're finished with chapter 11, but we're also finished with the entire noun section in the grammar, Basics of Biblical Hebrew. Once you've mastered the material in this chapter, you're ready to move on to verbs. But before you do move on to verbs, make sure that you've reviewed all of the basics of your noun grammar, because we won't pick up on that noun grammar anymore. We'll just assume that you have it as we move into Hebrew verbs. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.